Today, I want to talk about the meme stock that just ran over 200% in one single day and explain whether this could be the start of the squeeze. I also want to talk about another company that's getting ready to sue a bunch of brokers and market makers for stock manipulation. So stay tuned and let's make some money. But first I want to dive straight in with the key information. So, Roger Hamilton tweeted saying below is an authorised statement from GNS Group, GNS and their legal team led by Wes Christian, following completion of a lengthy and thorough due diligence process that's taken a full year to complete. Saying while this is technically an ongoing process, the team wanted to provide a brief update. Saying the due diligence has been completed by Warshall Burstein and Christian Attar Law and various consulting experts. The firms believe there is sufficient evidence to commence litigation against certain broker-dealers who engaged in a scheme to manipulate the share price of the company's securities. So obviously we knew there was another company, Mullen, that started a lawsuit to sue a number of different brokers and market makers. That lawsuit has now kind of transformed into a different lawsuit to sue different brokers and market makers for spoofing, but it's still going on in the background. But now we have yet another company, GNS, that is also gearing up to sue these brokers and market makers or broker dealers. Again, for a scheme to manipulate the share price of that company's securities. But speaking of Mullen, you may know that Mullen just performed a 100-for-1 reverse split, and today what happened with the share price was pretty impressive. But as Nate pointed out, he said, why is it that every stock that does a reverse split immediately jumps except AMC? All the good news in the world, and AMC would still spiral downwards. AMC seemingly could cure an infectious disease or stop a pandemic. It could end world hunger and even bring about world peace, and yet seemingly the AMC stock price would magically still fall. But one stock's price that didn't fall, especially today, was actually Mullen, after their reverse split trading around $6.40 in the pre-market, running all the way over $18 per share for a whopping 200+% gain. Now straight off the bat, I think it's too early to say whether a full-out short squeeze in Mullen is occurring and whether that short squeeze will spread to companies like AMC and GameStop just yet. A 200% gain, tripling of the stock value, is brilliant, especially for one day of the move upwards. But to tell if this is really a short squeeze and if shorts will really get liquidated in this play, we need to see how the next few days play out and whether the stock continues running. Clearly it seems the shorts are already slightly stressed though, as the SEC suspended trading in Mullen earlier today. Not volatility halted, but suspended. Nate tweeted saying, what is this? A retail stock is taking off, so the SEC suspends the trading. Again, you can see here Mullen around $9.50 after running from that $6 region was suspended. Not just temporarily volatility halted, but all trading suspended. I also wanted to quickly go through those two incredible plays today, starting us off with SMFL, up a whopping 74.75% today. Again, this was a trade I called out in the pre-market saying if SMFL runs over that $2 per share, it will push up higher, which it did, pushing all the way over $3.50 per share. Again, a bunch of people from the group capitalised, with Rob taking out over 30% profits, Raddy taking out nearly 30% too, Bullet Python with around 20%, and Bjorn taking a whopping $1,500. As I said, we also had that second incredible play, which was Wade yesterday, taking SPY puts on that massive dip for 1,610% returns. So if you guys want some crazy returns like Wade and Bjorn, be sure to join the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group, linked in the description below. Now the trading in Mullen was actually resumed same day and went through multiple volatility halts during the day as well, like 5 or 6 halts or something. And as IC Assistants added, he said Mullen halt number 2, the low float seems to be putting major pressure on short hedge funds, and I'm here for it. Again, as I said, I'm sure a stock tripling in the same day does put a lot of pressure on short hedge funds, but whether these shorts are going to be liquidated tonight, I think it's too early to say. And I think for us to get some real meaningful impact on AMC, GameStop and the other meme stocks, I think we need more short squeezing or more squeezing to occur on Mullen. I think we need a full-on, full-out, all-out short squeeze on Mullen for these shorts to be heavily stressed to the point where they are forced to liquidate their entire portfolios. But what I am looking forward to is, if this short squeeze continues, just how much the shorts really feel the pressure. Especially if we can get another 200% tomorrow and another 200% on Tuesday after Christmas, and maybe another 200% after that. And maybe then if all hell starts breaking loose and the price starts reading the same kind of digits as a phone number. But something I also found very, very interesting was this tweet from Top G. He said he's got around 4,000 followers here on X. He said the AMC stock price has fallen almost 95% from its highs. Taking into consideration that AMC has the biggest pie with retail shareholders, around 75 to 95% of the float, or 75 to 90% of the float, it means that at least 70 to 80% of people must have sold for the price to fall so dramatically. You couldn't get a 95% price drop with only 10% of shareholders selling their shares. So surely it means a massive portion of retail investors must have also sold for the price to tank so significantly, right? But if you check at this vote, a whopping 92% of his followers have not sold a single share of AMC. Fair enough, 7.7% of his followers have sold, so maybe that's 7.7% of the entire retail shareholder base, which is still less than 10% of retail investors, not 70 to 80 or 90% of us. Again, it's so interesting that retail investors seem not to be selling shares, but potentially, if anything, are either not selling or even buying more. Now, interestingly, Just Dario also tweeted saying if the stock's heavy selling pressure resumes today, then the mystery of who our kohrs 2.0 is will likely be revealed. Now, this is obviously after that significant drop in the market seen yesterday, where many stocks were down 5, 10, 15% and even more. So far, the selling today did not resume, but I think it's too early to call whether the market is still going to run or whether the market is going to continue crashing. Again, as I always say in the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group, we need to first wait for our confirmation before deciding whether the market will continue moving upwards or downwards. If the market does continue moving upwards, it means these heavily shorted names like Coinbase, Carvana, Upstart, Affirm and many others will continue running upwards and will continue squeezing and stressing shorts. And all the while that happens, it just brings us closer and closer to those margin calls, those liquidations, and the AMC squeeze. But if the market does all of a sudden crash very abruptly, somebody will come out in the woodwork to be our kohrs 2.0. Maybe it'll end up being a major bank that ends up going under, or even a major hedge fund that ends up carrying the bag and going under too. Either way, this current market rally will at some point come to an end, and when it comes to an end dramatically, it will be very interesting to see who's left holding the problem. But guys, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always guys, be sure to ding that notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.